Good evening and welcome to One Take. I am Monica May. My guest this evening is with Equal Ground, Kristin Fulwylie Thomas. Congratulations, being
Thank
married.
you.
Congratulations, yes. And we're going to talk about Equal Ground, which is all about election education. And it comes at a perfect time, Kristin. And you've got so many projects going on. But as managing director of Equal Ground, let's talk about what is that organization first. We know it's community-based.
Mm-hmm. Well, first, thank you so much for having me today. So Equal Ground Education Fund, we are a community-centered organization engaging Black voters through equal access to education, voting, empowerment, and things like that. So right now we are currently programming along the I-4 corridor, so Orange, Seminole, Volusia, Seminole County. And our goal is really just to increase voter participation in communities of color, more specifically, predominantly Black and African American communities. And so we're actively working to just advance in voter engagement and leadership development, and really just providing both short-term and long-term engagement opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Do you talk about the demographic? Are we looking at a certain age group? What are we doing?
Yeah, so we're really engaging the new American electorate. And so that is Black voters, women voters, youth voters, LGBTQ voters. Our primary goal is Black voters along the I-4 corridor.
Okay. And when you say that, I know that it's not a single-handed operation. So tell me who makes up Equal Ground and how can people find out more, just to be maybe invited to be a part of the group, or can you come out to be a part of their organization to do some education and information?
First, to answer your question, absolutely. We would love to do some education to any group that's looking to engage and empower the community. Right now, we are comprised of a board. Our consulting director is Jasmine Burney Clark, who I believe you had on the show last week to talk about the census. Then we have regionals directors in Orange, Volusia County, and Pinellas County, and then they manage a group of canvassers who work to do direct voter contact. We recently just brought on a rapid response organizer, so we're really excited about that. And we'll be bringing.
What is that? Rapid response.
So, new position, because with everything that has been going on, we've realized that we needed a dedicated staff to specifically work on events like, so when the unfortunate incident happened with George Floyd, we organized along with other Black-led organizations a Pull Up for George Floyd event where we collected over 150 letters to send to the family. So we wanted to have someone to designate specifically to those events where we can really just react quickly to things as so much is happening in our community. So we decided to hire within and bring on a rapid response organizer.
I like that. So what is the rapid response to the Black Lives Matters, the movement going on right now that George Floyd did get escalated, and now we have Rayshard in Atlanta, so many of our Black men. The rapid response with that.
Well, so do you mean in terms of with Equal Ground?
Yeah, what does Equal Ground do?
Yeah, so we're still working on exactly what we're doing, but of course engaging and helping people get registered to vote. We know that that is one major form of civic engagement, educating our community, and then really just still building relationships with other community leaders that are doing events here locally that we can work together to engage our elected officials to just create these demands and make sure that, these things don't continue to happen. But it's going to take, long change to do so. But.
Yeah. It is. And there are so many factors here in our community too. I've sat in on press conferences and just meetings lately, and it seems like we have pockets of organizations doing things. And I wish that there was a collaborative effort here in Orlando and Orange County and even Volusia County and up the road and just here in Central Florida, that we could all be on one accord because some people are talking about defunding the police, some people are talking about integrating the police force and the sheriff's office here even more. So, there's a lot on the table here, a lot on the table. With your ear to the ground, the way you have it, what are you hearing? What are millennials, people your age, what are you all wanting to see in terms of change?
I will say, if I can comment on your first point, I do think that there's a space for everyone in this movement. And I believe that there are so many different issues that we can all find something that is important to us and focus on that. So I don't think we need to be everywhere all the time. I do think that there's a specific place for all of us, whether that's your age or an issue that you're particularly interested in. I will say that this recent situation is definitely impacting our communities, I think a little different than it has in the past. I was around when, Trayvon Martin in our own backyard happened, and this time feels different. I don't know if it's just because everybody was home due to COVID, people have more time on their hands. It just feels different, and I feel that there is this cry and this need for a more radical change. So this isn't the first time we've heard defunding the police, but I think it's the first time that we're really seeing it plastered on, more of a national stage like it is. I think people my age, to answer your question, or millennials, are wanting to see just more radical change.
Now, I know that you can't speak for everyone your age, or maybe even can't even speak for Equal Ground, but if you had to say something right now, your voice really matters, Kristin. A lot of people look up to that Kristin Fulwylie brand, and now Kristin Fulwylie Thomas brand, because you've been Urban League, you've been with NAACP. Tell me some of the organizations you've been with, Florida House of Representatives, so many organizations. Give me a little bit of background history on you, sis.
Sure, okay. So I am, so when I first got down, I moved here from Pittsburgh about 10 years ago. And so when I first got down here, I did get involved with the Central for Urban League Young Professionals. And that's actually where I really got engaged in the political process. I was always very community centered, but that's when I really dug into it. But yes, I've worked for and been engaged with organizations like Next Gen Climate. I've worked for state representative in the Florida House of Representatives. I feel like I'm drawing a blank. And most noble, I founded my own organization called the Black History Project, which teaches Black history to high school students. And we've been doing that for the past 5 years. So yeah, I have been pretty busy, and honestly, I like to support other organizations where people are also doing work. I don't feel like I have to do everything, be everywhere. So if another organization is doing things, then I like to, partner and support the best way I can there.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good thing. One of the things that I wanted to get back to now is with this election coming up, this is a very tumultuous year for us. We've got locally, I'm trying to get people to understand how important this local race for us really is. We've got state attorney, you've got sheriff, you've got several other city elections coming up, but of course, the presidential in November. How can we get people engaged and motivated to know that the local election is just as important or more so, as well as the presidential election? What's the verbiage we can begin to use? Because we got to start now.
Absolutely. So I think we need to take a step back, and before we can really talk about specific candidates, I think the best way that I've seen it and learned is to really talk about people, talk about the issues that are important to them. So someone might not feel like that they're political or I don't do politics, but if you ask them, what is the issue that is impacting your community the most, or what is the issue that's impacting your household the most, they'll say education, they'll say healthcare, they'll give you an example of an encounter their child may have had with the police department. And so when you bring it home like that and you say, hey, did you know that the Florida Senate and the House passes a budget every year, and that impacts, funding that comes through to education? Did you know that, the sheriff is an elected position? Did you know that you can go and advocate and talk to your elected officials about street signs not being, or street lights not being fixed on your road? I think talking about it at a personal level and making it personal, then you can say, okay, so these are the issues that matter to you. So-and-so, candidate A, candidate B, says that they're going to fight for this, says that they're going to do this, or current candidate or current person who holds this elected official or holds this office said that they were going to do this 10 years ago, and it's never happened. Maybe it's time for someone else. So when you make it personal, then I think it's more digestible, and it doesn't feel like people are doing politics, because people don't really like to do politics.
So I understood. Where did your thirst for all of this come from?
I have always been very just community centered. I think my mom and my brother, my family, just I've always just been this way. And I think when I moved down here, I was actually in a completely different career. I was working in public relations, and I got involved in the Urban League. And that's when I saw that this passion that I had for community work, I can actually do this full time. I can actually work in this space. But just having personal experiences with things that just aren't right, just seeing so many issues within our communities and understanding the process and knowing that I have something to do with it, is what really just motivated me to get involved.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because I think if more people your age, and I love what you're doing with the Black History Project. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, so we started the Black History Project in 2015, and it honestly was just, I met with a group of students, and they didn't just was completely disconnected to what Black history was. And I remember just thinking, like, wow, wouldn't it be powerful if we just taught Black history? They're not learning it in the schools. Most parents don't really have the time to really invest in this. So why don't we just start a program? So I partnered with a local professor, because I really believe in bringing in experts. I'm not an educator. I can't teach Black history. So I made sure that the information that the students were getting was legit and came from a credible source. But yeah, we met, we recruited a bunch of students here in Central Florida, and it really just took off. It was an idea I had, started it literally within 2 months. Had about 35 kids in the room. And yeah, we just talked about history. We talked about civilization in Africa, moved through slavery, talked about, civil rights movement. We talked about issues that are happening now. And so it's just been an extremely great opportunity to make these impact with these students.
If you can reach out to international students, and this is a big ask for me. Tomorrow, okay, I'm hosting an event through Valencia. It is a salute to Black History Month as well as Juneteenth, and it's being done virtually. So it's just a Zoom piece, but it's a full-fledged piece of artistry with history, with song, with music, but it's also educational. So if you could get any of those students to log on, you check my Facebook page at communications.com. We'll get you that information. I'll put it up as well. But that would be good for those students to just get an earful and an eyeful of what life was like pre-slavery and then after, and some things that have been going on. So this has been a great conversation. Again, Kristin Fulwylie Thomas, I'm just loving the fact that you are newly married. And how long has it been?
So our wedding was in October. So I always joke because as soon as we got married, then COVID happened. So it was a great start to our marriage. But yeah, I'm loving it.
That's all right. At least you got quarantined together.
Right. It's a blessing.
Listen, keep us informed with Equal Ground. Keep us informed with however we can help you get the word out. Elections are right around the corner. We have one coming up in August. You have other elections coming up throughout the year. Please, organizations like Equal Ground, organizations like even just logging on to my Facebook, you'll be informed. Please do that. It's our right to vote. And people like Kristin are making it a little bit more palatable by giving long-term explanations and just the evolution of the vote. Kristin, thank you so much for being on with us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.